Small businesses, churches, big companies, and casinos all pushing back against state and county governments this week and their public health orders. And local politicians are often caught in the middle. To break it all down, I spoke with NBC7's Artie Ojeda and Gaby Rodriguez. Artie, I want to start with you. The Hilltop Tabernacle, we just saw your story. That was the church that potentially was holding services in the face of the county public health order. I'm curious, they actually had a service later that night right after your story ran. Is that correct?
They absolutely did. It appears for the last couple of weeks, they've been having Sunday day and night services and an additional service on Tuesday night. And Tuesday night, the parking lot was packed. And Danny, I should say, the reason we were tipped off to Hilltop was actually a woman had contacted us with concerns for her elderly mother who had been attending services in what appear to be violations, or I should say defiance of public health orders. And as we look at the video from Hilltop on their YouTube channel, you can clearly see there are several people on the pulpit, mostly choir members. They do not appear to be socially distanced. There's crowds of, I guess, the backs of heads of people that you can see in the front rows of the pews. They do not appear to be socially distanced, and most certainly none of them are wearing masks. So it appears that they are holding these services in defiance of state and county public health orders.
So, Gaby, I want to bring you into this conversation. That's happening in the South Bay. We're talking Chula Vista. Let's go up to North County because, Gaby, you were at a very interesting protest, I understand, in Oceanside. You know, Oceanside, they had a city council member basically call for businesses specifically to reopen and defy the public health order, and you were at a business that did just that.
Yes, and Metroflex is the name of the gym, and it is in Oceanside. Now, the owner there, Lou, he organized this rally and invited small businesses from around Oceanside and their owners to come and speak at this rally. He had already gained some of the media attention because this rally happened on Wednesday. On Sunday, just a few days prior to that, he defied the county health orders and opened up this gym. Now, we want to remember that gyms are a part of phase 3 of the governor's plan to reopen the state. And at this point, he's told us we don't quite know when that's going to happen. It could be even months, I think at one point he said, right? So he reopened the gym on Sunday. He was cited and then he was arrested. When I spoke to him on Wednesday, he told me that the citations amounted to about $2,000, but he was prepared to do it all over again.
We see that then in the North County, but then in the East County, on parts of these tribal lands that are, of course, in San Diego County, we see casinos then trying to reopen. And Artie, you were out there. That didn't go without some speed bumps.
Danny, what a fascinating development we had this week. Earlier in the week, several casinos announced plans to reopen starting next week. Those casinos are Viejas, Sequan, and Valley View. Now, this seemed to take the county public health officer by surprise. At her Wednesday news conference, she came out and appeared to be visibly, well, I don't want to say angry, but stunned that these casinos had the nerve to reopen in defiance of public order.
It was a very strong statement that she said. She said, she came out and said, that this is something that they think is dangerous, basically, that this is not something that they approve of, coming, again, from a county official.
Absolutely, and she said that it was definitely a risk to public health. And she took it a step further by suggesting she was going to seek federal assistance in how to prevent these casinos on sovereign tribal land from reopening. Well, the next day on Thursday, what a difference 24 hours made, because she definitely softened her tone, major change of heart. She said she met with several tribal leaders. Several of them submitted reopening plans that she was going to be reviewing, and acknowledged that, yes, they are on sovereign land. We respect that. We have a common goal of protecting the health and welfare of our communities.
This is why I wanted to speak to both of you, because, what we're seeing this week from a number of different spots are different entities across the county saying Thanks, but no thanks to these county and state public health orders. Gaby, I'm curious from your perspective, you said there were a lot of businesses up in Oceanside that attended this rally. Did you get the sense that other businesses might follow this gym owner's lead and start to reopen?
Absolutely. There was an owner of one of these small businesses that said it really should be up to the public to decide what type of exposure, when and where they are willing to put themselves through. I think it becomes such a difficult situation for these businesses. And I asked the owner of this gym, because he said, I'm taking precautions. I am taking some of the equipment out of function so that people aren't at greater risk. There's high sanitation standards. The restrooms are closed and only the hand washing stations are open. But I asked him, I said, how would you feel if someone did come down with COVID and they got it at your gym? And he said, I mean, I would feel horrible, but I'm sure so would the owners of a Walmart or the people who work at Home Depot. There's just this thing where a lot of these owners are saying, why them and not us?
That justification that you're saying right there that this gym owner is using is the same justification that we're hearing from churches as well.
Absolutely. And, it really is interesting to hear from several attorneys who are now representing these churches that have decided to sue local jurisdictions, state jurisdictions. And in fact, we heard from an attorney, a local attorney up in Escondido, who is representing a church in Lodi. Basically, he's suggesting not only is it a First Amendment right violation, however, he seems to also suggest that churches are being singled out and they're being treated as second-class citizens. And he makes a similar comparison that Gaby was talking about. He says, look, if people of faith can go to a Costco or a Walmart to shop so long as they're socially distanced, why can't they do the same inside a church? And so to that end, he's basically saying, look, if you observe social distancing, if you're wearing a mask, go ahead and defy these public health orders, go to church. And he called it a Christianity principled form of social disobedience, which I thought was a very interesting term.
It's just one of those fascinating moments when you have citizens pushing back against their governments, politicians navigating that, and public health officials in the mix. And meanwhile, there is, of course, a deadly disease that's still running rampant. Thank you guys both so much for taking the time. Please, both of you, stay healthy, and we'll do this again soon. We'll be right back.